If the documents are genuine, and there's a considerable body of authoritative opinion that says they are undoubtedly the most important discovery of their kind to have come to light since the events they appear to cover. It is a fact that shortly before Hitler committed suicide in the Berlin bunker in 1945, he packed his personal documents into tin trunks and tried to have them flown out to Bavaria. The aircraft was shot down over what is now East Germany. The 9 people on board died. Hitler is on record as mourning the loss of his documents, the documents that have now come to light. At the moment, they're in a Swiss bank vault. Peter Wickman, Stern's London editor, is one of the few people to have seen them.
60 diaries. They look a bit like school exercise books, but with a hard cover. They are seals outside with the swastika and an eagle. And inside, of course, Hitler's very spidery Gothic handwriting.
Are you convinced they're genuine?
Yes, we are absolutely convinced. We were very dubious at the beginning, but we had graphologists looking at them. We had experts who compared the paper. We had historians like Professor Trevor Roper, and they're all convinced that they are genuine.
Charles Douglas Hume, editor of the Times newspaper, has also inspected the find.
The material has been tested chemically and the handwriting has been tested, and that all meets the requirements. But in addition to that, the fact that there was a considerable quantity of personal effects and personal papers belonging to Hitler shipped out of Berlin at the very end of the war is known, and so there is some provenance for the existence. And finally, I think the thing which struck Hugh Trevor Roper most forcibly, and certainly it struck me as a non-expert when I went and saw the original material, was the sheer scale of it, the enormous range of this archive. It's not just that there are nearly 60 volumes of notebooks filled out in Hitler's longhand, which is there, but there are about 300 of his drawings and pictures, and personal documents such as his party card. I remember there are the drawings which he submitted to an art school when he was a young man hoping to get into art school. And there's a painting, an oil painting and so on. Now, a forger would have to be very good to forge across that whole range.
One historian who has seen the documents says it's like sitting on Hitler's shoulder as he struts through 13 years of history. Stern magazine and the Times are not giving much detail yet, but the diaries tell of Hitler's innermost thoughts as he rises to power. They were never intended for publication, so as well as a new look at history, they throw new light on one of history's major figures. They suggest, for example, that the evacuation from Dunkirk was something that Hitler let happen in the hope that he would be able to do a deal with Britain later on. That part of that deal was when he sent his deputy Hess to Scotland by air to try and arrange a treaty that would have pitted Britain and Germany against Russia. If the diaries are genuine, Hitler and Hess spent months planning that historic flight that led Hess to a war crimes trial. There will undoubtedly be much controversy and those who doubt. There have been claims before for Hitler's diaries, but never one as strong as this. And, says Stern magazine, everything, the diaries, the paintings, the photographs, will soon be handed over to the German government. Those who've seen the contents of the Swiss bank vault are convinced that once that happens, the doubters will be silenced, and the job of rethinking and perhaps rewriting part of the history of the 20th century will begin.
When I was first shown the 3 pages that I saw, the 3 photostatic copies of pages from the diary, before I ever took them in my hands and as they began to emerge from the briefcase, I could smell the ebullient odor of forgeries. And I told the young man who was taking them out that they were forgeries.
How can you be so certain, though, that they are forgeries? Because there are other people with impeccable credentials who are saying they're the real thing.
I don't know what your definition of impeccable is. It's certainly not the same as mine. Anyhow, Hitler's handwriting, as we can see, these are authentic examples. This is a very good and very representative example of how Hitler wrote. The shading in his writing changed constantly when he wrote, Very often he obscured his words with very heavy strokes. His handwriting tended to slant down constantly, as we see here, and as you can particularly see in the signature. The lines are compact and very tight together. The words are tight together. Now, on the forgery, the lines are far apart, the words are far apart, even the signature, in which you see the crossbar on the F descending. The crossbar on the F in the forgeries ascends in a most incredible way that would have appalled Hitler himself.
But if what you say is true, the diaries have taken in a number of eminent experts.
Shortly, it will be established beyond any question, and without any panel of experts, which I think is superfluous at the present time, the whole affair will die down, and it will just be a great hoax in the history of mankind.
In the final analysis, though, this is one person's opinion. Do you think it's just possible that you're wrong?
It's not an opinion. What I'm telling you is based upon a very sound knowledge over many years. 20 years, 30 years of handling Hitler's autographs and guaranteeing the authenticity of each one enables me to detect very quickly one that is not authentic, because I'm offered them all the time. He tempts everybody.